just go straight to your questions.
What is the schedule for the team on the bye week?
We did our normal Monday. We replaced the afternoon meetings with study hall, so guys can get caught up, not caught up, but get a good jump academic. Someone's phone. Still recording. We'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we'll give everybody off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come back to work Monday.
So far this season, in the turnover department, only one fumble loss. Just what have you thought of the ball security, the intentionality of guys on offense?
Yeah, I think we're second in the Big Ten right now in turnover margin. Right? I forget what the number is nationally. I just went through it with the team, so it's a good example of, putting your mind to something and getting it done. And we won the turnover battle again this past game, so it's every game but one. One game we tied, all the rest of them we've won. So I got it. So whoever doesn't have a case, someone doesn't have a case. That's up to me. Yeah, but I think it's been months and months of work, and it's also just, I think sometimes we think we were working on it last year, and while it wasn't coming to fruition, I still think the work we did last year, the work we did this offseason, the work we did in training camp has helped, and it's just the guys. The guys are protecting the football. They're running violently, but still have great ball security. So it's been a good thing.
That was one of the three areas I think of emphasis that we've seen in that chasing through job, that turnover margin, and it being the most physical team and the culture of execution. As you think over the first half of the season, it's a good sort of dividing point of 6 games. How do you feel like you've scored in those other 2 areas?
Yeah, I think it's a work in progress. I think we've been a very physical team. I think Illinois, I didn't feel like we were the more physical team. I felt like we were looking at the scoreboard instead of just playing the next play. I'm just worried about winning, which ultimately comes from me. So I think we've been a very physical team. We have a long way to go, to be the team that we want to be. And then culture of execution, the penalties, I think, like going into last game, we were 124 out of 134 in terms of most penalized teams. On the flip side, though, if you look at our games, we've had 47 penalties thrown against us. We've had 47 penalties thrown against our opponent. So they've been highly, highly penalty-filled games, if that makes sense. So it's not like, we're just getting destroyed by, we have 11 and they have 3, right? But that's something I'd like to see us improve. I've talked a lot to the guys about improving. And really, when I talk about penalties, I'm talking about pre-snap penalties, and I'm talking about, which we eliminated last game, and I'm talking about, for the most part, and then 15-yard personal fouls and the things that happened at Illinois, right, that aided all the scores. So I think we've improved in that area. But there's certainly things we have to work on, things we have to get better at. We know that, So special teams, special teams is kind of a tale of two things, right? You have in the last 2 games, 5 or 6 balls put down inside the 10, punts down, that land inside the 10. You fake a field goal, you tackle them on a fake punt. So we fake a punt, they fake a field goal, we stop them. But then you have, 2 blocked field goals the week before. Obviously, you have 2 blocked punts. To ever have 2 blocked punts and not lose the game is almost impossible. And credit to Nate Borkacher, the play he made on that blocked punt. He runs the guy down, tackles him at the 2, and then we're able to have this epic goal line stand. So I think that's one area. I think our run game offensively is not where it needs to be. We're not hitting the home run plays. We're getting out and getting 12 yards, and then So I think there's just a lot of things. That's a long answer. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of very specific things that I think we have to work on, and we're doing a good job of self-scouting ourselves right now just to see, hey, what are the best things that we do.
Papa gave you some good snaps Saturday. As you hit the second half of the season, is there some strategy that goes into where certain guys might fit, where they could play one of their 4 games?
Yeah. This was a targeted decision. Hey, he's going to play in this game. He's physical run stopper. Was excellent on the goal line, so he fit into this game. I think with all the guys, we look at them. Some have 1 game left. Some have 2 games left. Some guys haven't played yet. They have 4, and so we're utilizing it. So I think every guy's a little different, but yeah, I think the way we build the team is to redshirt the guys who can redshirt and let them develop and play them the right amount. James Williams is out there has a big game statistically, right? And it's like, well, we made the decision, a hard decision, but the right decision last year to redshirt him down the stretch. And now you see a much, much, much more developed player in my mind.
Matt, how would you assess your quarterback play so far? And how pleased are you with that position?
I think he's been great. Yeah, I think he's had some wow moments. I think he gets us in the right checks. I think he protects the football. We had the one interception on the RPO this week. That's as well coached a defense as you can see. They're physical, and the wind. The wind was hard early in the game, and so I think there was some really good lessons. But we knew in that game the best way to win that game was for us to get up and make them play differently, make them play a way they didn't want to play, and so Dylan and the guys led us to two touchdown drives, and it's hard. It was really hard. With 3 of the 5 drives in the second half started inside the 5. It was hard to get into a rhythm. No, that's not an excuse. We have to get into a rhythm that way. Don't make no mistake. But I thought that was part of it. But I think Dylan's the guy that the guys on offense look to. We can continue to help him with improved run game. Guys getting open, and I think he'll get better and better and better every week.
Back to the run game for a second. You mentioned there was that play that came out, I think, where you guys kind of went with a power play, and it looked like it could go for 95 yards, and it was just 12. Is there a teaching moment there for Dowdell and for your other backs on how to make that one last guy miss?
Yes, I'm sorry. So if you go back through that game, whether it's we throw a screen to Thomas early and they tackle him low, we throw the ball to Jalen. We didn't just call that thinking we're going to get a first down. We're thinking that's a touchdown. Okay, and he gets tackled low with one hand. Dante. And yet you go back to the Illinois game, our defense was struggling, our offense just up, and every time they scored, we answered. Guys made plays, right? So, I'm not a, hey, just do your job guy. I'm a hey, do your job and then go make a play. And so part of that is, not getting tackled. And we've gotten tackled low a lot through the first 6 games. And so it's a unique balance in that we didn't tackle great the last 2 weeks at the level I wanted us to. So we went live versus scout team on defense on Tuesday and Wednesday. We tackled to the ground. And, it's easier to do because, you're doing the tackling. You're probably not going to get hurt. And we tackled much better. After the first 2 drives, we tackled much better in the game than we ever have this year. On offense, it's hard to say, hey, go tackle these guys, right? Go in there and hit Fidoni at the ankles. Go in there and hit, Emmett at the ankles. So you're trying to always do it in drills, and it's just not manifesting itself at the level I want it to. So part of that's me, right? Part of that's us coming up with a strategy and practice. In that play, Dante stiff arms him, and he kind of stiff arms him, and we need to stiff arm him. So the week before, Washington made all those safeties miss and had 207 yards rushing. I also know, though, when you face a team led by a good head coach, if they give up a ton of yards rushing, they're not giving up a ton of yards the next week. You better be ready. And so, they played really well on defense. But that's a major area for us is those 12-yard runs have to start being 50-yard runs.
What do you see her right? Just his continued play. I mean, what is he giving you, and how do you manage that? Maybe if Tommy Hill is back in the lineup in Indiana.
Yeah, well, Sierra's done an excellent job, and he's competitive. He's tough. He's smart. He's helped us on special teams. He made that play on the back fade of the goal line. Where he reached back and went and made a play. Kind of going back to what we were just talking about. The goal line stands weren't great calls by Tony. They were good calls by Tony with guys making great plays, right? Giff has the tight end man-to-man. He's ineligible, so he just runs right through and hits him, right? Just Sierra picking a ball off, knocking a ball down, just elite focus. So Sierra's really helped us, during this time with Tommy. As they come back, I think it's probably too early. We obviously are always talking about, hey, what can we do? How can we help ourselves? But I'm not sure that I'm ready to know that yet. But we hope to get Tommy back, and we thought he was going to play in that game up until kickoff. As he was running out, kind of just couldn't quite go. But again, we have Sierra, so it's not like we're forcing Tommy to come back too early, right? We want him to come back and be healthy. So hopefully Tommy can have a good week of practice, and then between those three guys, we'll rotate them around.
What specifically did you see on those block punts, and how determined do you see guys within that operation to get that fix coming out in the second half of the season?
Yeah, First one, I'll say who. I usually won't say who it was, but I'll say, just blocked the wrong guy. I say that because I don't think anyone here would question his determination. It's not any of those things. It's, they brought the gunner in. He just missed it, right? And then they had a couple long runs. He came over to me. He's like, I got it. I messed up. I got it. And the second one, personal protector just didn't make the block. So, they challenged you in every regard. And, again, if I could go back, I wish I'd have faked the punt the first one, because we knew they were going to do that, and we knew the corners were just going to sit there. We knew we were going to be able to throw it. It was a little challenging to say, hey, let's go throw it in that wind with our punter, but I believed in Brian. And I wish you guys could have seen. One of the best things I've ever seen is, this kid gets hurt. He can't even move. He's out there on the little practice mini field, that little AstroTurf field out there at halftime, and he's throwing just to see, can I get my back loosened up to go throw, because we're gonna throw the throw. And just found a way to get it done. So I think all the guys recognize that, hey, this has to improve, but it's also my job to show them, like, hey, we have to eliminate the catastrophic things, because there are other things that are all like they're all trending in the right direction, right? Like our kickoff coverage has improved, like they just obviously they fair caught them, like our kickoff return didn't have many opportunities obviously for that, and punt rush, we got close to blocking one. And Buscini, again, flipping the field. That last punt was as big a play as I've been a part of. And, again, him faking that punt, they then didn't come after us again after that, right? So that was as big a play as that was. It flipped the field. Then the next punt, he puts the ball down at the 5, and then they never really rushed us again. Because that last punt, I was scared to death that they were going to come through. They're sending one more guy than you have a blocker for. At the end of the day, like, your punter's got to get it off. And, the fake punt slowed them down maybe a little bit.
Did he have a hot call there where if he saw it, he could throw it again?
No, we weren't doing that. We were just calling it. Yeah, because we had to adjust the protection to make sure no one goes down the field, right? So in the NFL, it's a little easier to do that because they have to go. They can't go until the ball's kicked. But in college, you can go right away. So we had a full fake on. So
how rare is it for teams not to cover the gunners like that, just to let those guys run free?
It's an old Frank Beamer, Virginia Tech. They used to rush the punt and leave the corners off at 9 yards. They just stood there and they watched. These guys are doing it at 5 yards, and they're as well coached a team. I'm in no way saying that. I'm just saying, like, not many people have a punter with an arm like ours does. He can throw, and so a lot of people wouldn't throw a 22-yard honey hole shot, right? Like, that's hard to do. But thankfully, Bruce Sheeney's probably got one of the better arms on the team, to be quite honest. He's really good at this stuff. And, we had Johnny Hecker at Carolina, who's epic for this stuff. So we have a couple of these things that, Ed has, and it worked.
Could Tristan still be available coming out of the second half, and are there any other injury updates?
Yeah, I think Tristan's going to begin, potentially begin the process of testing and seeing where he's at, and whatever that means in terms of when he's comfortable, healthy. So, there's that. There's Tommy, right? Tommy was trending closer. Like I said, he was up until kickoff. We thought he was going to go. So, it's just a day-by-day thing with him.
Is Bly Hill up?
Yeah, Bly Hill. We had him up, ready to go, but we didn't play him, right? Because Sierra played so well. So, to me, you're looking at a guy who's got 4 open games in the next 6 games. So, pending a bomb going off, you could probably play him in 4 games, and you've got like Amari Sanders has a game left. You've got Larry Tarver has 2 games left. So a bunch of these young players who are developing and getting better and better and better, they have some opportunities here. So, if Bly wants to play, so if Tommy can't go or if Sierra were to get hurt, Bly would be right there. But Jeremiah Charles has done a good job stepping in as needed. You think about it, you're out there and, he's really the 5th corner 2 weeks ago, and now he's the 3rd corner. And so with Tommy out, with Tommy and Bly out, so it's a credit to him.
I know that Heinrich Harvard gets onto the field about 5 or 6 times a game. This is a question I get a lot of why he's not used more. Like, can you speak to that? Just I think fans really enjoy watching him play, but he doesn't get a ton of carries or things like that. What's the challenge of trying to get him into the game and also get the ball in his hands?
Yeah, I'll say this: I think he needs to play more. So let me start there, right? Like, so I don't disagree when a fan says that. The challenge is like, you have a lot of good players on offense. Like, it's also like the offense also has me saying like, hey, get Ja'Cory the ball 9 times. Hey, throw the fade to Nayor. Hey, why isn't Fedoni catching it 5 times? Hey, you know, I mean, they have all those things. Right? They're like, hey, Banks, like, get him 8 catches. Hey, you know, so they have that for me. Hey, why hasn't Carter Nelson touched the ball yet today, guys? Hey, hand the ball to Janirin on the reverse. So we have a lot of players like that I want to see touch the football. If you think about what's happening on the perimeter, if we can just get our run game up to about 180 yards a game, you know, between the tackles, and this is not a shot. This is nothing. This is just all of us, right? The O line, hey, throw the RPO when it's there when they blitz, guy making somebody miss. If we can just improve that number, I think the overall thing will happen. But yeah, I think part of it is we spent so much time with Heinrich getting him ready to be the second quarterback. That, you know, because I mean he's a play away, right? So I think that's maybe delayed it a little bit. But no, I don't disagree. But I also will say that, you know, the offensive staff hears me say that about Fedoni every day. They hear me say that about all these guys every day.
I know we'll get into Indiana next week, but what do you make of their start? And that's a big noon kickoff.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm not surprised by it. Let me say that. I mean, the team they had at James Madison, I mean, was an excellent team. And the world's changed. You know, you come somewhere now, and a lot of your good players come with you, right? So they brought over a lot of guys who know how to win. They have a great coaching staff. And you know, the Signetti family, if you're from where I'm from, that's a legendary coaching family. They, you know, Coach Signetti Sr. was as good as there was. And, you know, both brothers are excellent. You know, Kurt's a great coach. He's turned every place around that he's been. And, you know, I think 2 years ago they had a pretty good team, or 3 years. You know, it's not like Indiana's been in the gutter for them. I mean, they've had good seasons. And he comes in with swagger. He's got a really good quarterback transferred in. They brought some good players. They had some good players that were already there. They've got great wideouts. And they're rolling, right? They're following his demeanor, and they play with a lot of confidence and swagger. And so it's great. Again, it goes back to what I said all training camp of looking at the schedule before the season and saying what games are easy and what games are hard is not true, and it's not the way of college football anymore. Everyone's got to get that in. Like how many teams lost to teams that you would have never thought Alabama would ever lose to Vandy. You never would have thought maybe USC would lose to Minnesota. The portal, transfers, and it's changed all of it. That's why there's no undefeated NFL teams, right? So, you know, it used to be that a player would say, "Man, I got offered from, you know, whomever, Ohio State. I'm going there, you know." But now he might get offered, I might get offered from Blue Mountain State, let's just say. And that's the top school in the country. And they're offering, hey, we'll give you, you know, X amount of money. And another school that's 2 pegs lower on the pecking order of recruiting will say, hey, we'll give you 3 times that. Because for this guy, he's their 15th best recruit. But for them, they're like, well, we can't get those guys. Let's get him. So now that kid's like, do I go there for $50,000 or do I go there for $250,000? So all of a sudden so why were the great teams of the 90s and 2010s, why were they so dominant? They stacked up all the talent. And when guys got hurt, the next guy came in was also a Parade All-American. Now the Parade All-Americans are all spreading out a little bit more. So it's just different. So the days of, you know, it's just different now. So I think Indiana's a tremendous example of that. It's a completely different roster this year than it was next year. You know, you guys got stuck with me. You know, like I said, I didn't get to bring anybody with me. You know, I love Bryant, but he can't play. You know, they didn't let me bring McCaffrey. They didn't let me bring Brian Burns. So, you know, we came in here and we just been building with the guys that were here and trying to recruit, just kind of a little more the old school way. But you know what? Like people that are moving now, it's just a different world. So we all have to just adjust to it.
Not part of that different world. Have you, with the 4-game redshirt and transfer trend that's kind of going on, have you had to have some conversations last few weeks with guys who are thinking about leaving, or has it been pretty?
Yeah, I've had no one say, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, can I redshirt? My main conversations with most guys are like, I'm normally the one saying, hey, you should redshirt. Like I just don't believe that playing for guys, if they're not playing, like Ja'Cory shouldn't redshirt, he's playing. But if you're playing 8 plays a game as a freshman or playing 50 plays a game as a senior, like look at Ty Robinson. Like look at how dominant Ty is right now. And was he that way last year? Was he that way the year before? He was good. He's gotten better every year. And that extra year for Ty now, he's doing things. So I believe in redshirting. I believe in the old school process. So, but you know, it takes parents who trust you. It takes players who trust you. And at the same time, if a player says to me, Coach, it just isn't right for me. I want to transfer. Can I? I'm not going to throw him off the team. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not my way, right? So, anyway, I haven't had anybody come to me and say, hey, I want to do this or anything like that. Like, I haven't had that.
Is Ty playing 61 snaps on a day like that? Is that worthy of praise, or is it something you just expect from him?
Yeah, I think it's worthy of praise. Yeah, I try to keep that. I'd like that number to be like in the 40s and 45. But like, again, it was a little different because there are some subtle things in that game. Like like Tony got out of his comfort zone and he played 3 different personnel packages. Right, like he took the jack off the field and played with 3 true linebackers to play the 3 down stuff. Then he played with with a big package, right, and just said, hey, we're not going to let you run the ball. Then he played with the base package. And what it allowed us to do was get us to where we had a lead. And now, to me, playing 60 plays when you're pass rushing at the end of the game is a lot different than 60 plays of, here comes power, ISO. So getting the lead and then letting Ty pass rush. But Ty's in great shape and he practices hard. And that was the number one thing last year with Ty. I'd always talk about, because we didn't have him in the offseason. He had that shoulder surgery. I was always like, if you got to get into great shape and play hard. You can't play hard 15 snaps a game. And Ty's running all over creation out there. So, yeah, I think playing 61 plays is a credit to him.
Matt, you're at the halfway point of the schedule with a 5-1 record. How do you feel about the second half of the season and achieving the goals that you guys set out at the beginning?
Yeah, well, I didn't set any goals out. I literally mean that. I just want to be relevant, and so I think at least we're relevant. I still wake up at night upset we lost to Illinois. That's God's honest truth. After we win, I'm happy for 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, let's get ready for what's next. I'm proud of our players, though. That's the important message. I'm proud of the work. I'm proud of the lack of distractions. I'm proud of the selflessness. I'm proud of the growth. I'm proud of, I'm not sad about it, but we lose Teddy, then we lose Turner, and now Gunner's out there and he's battling, right? We lose Tommy, who's, one of the top players in the country, and all of a sudden Sierra's battling. I'm proud of Marquise Buford, just every week. So I'm proud of a lot of those things. As it relates to the second half of the season, it's the same to me as the first. After Illinois, I could just feel our team. I could feel our coaching staff. We have to win this game. We have to win this game. And I just enjoyed this game better where the guys just wanted to play. And so I'm going to do my best to go 1-0 every week. Even the bye week, I'm going to try to be great this week on the bye week. And some of that's rest. Some of that's getting away. Some of that's practicing the heck out of the young guys. But that's really all I look at.
You say 2 days of tackling last week. How rare is that for you?
Yeah, I haven't ever really done that. Now, my teams at Temple and my teams at Baylor, I hate to talk about the past, they would have come out on Tuesday and maybe tackled okay, thudded okay, and then on Wednesday I'd have shown them the bad plays and they'd have gone out there and they'd have tackled. They'd have been they had an edge to them. And we really hadn't gotten that back yet last 2 weeks. We were better, I thought, against Purdue. But, Monungai's a really good back. That's a really good back now. And so, to me, the game's easy when it comes down to tackling. I give them all one. Hey, we're going to have to tackle. I told the defense you're going to have to win third down. Rutgers gets in a lot of third downs. I think it was between third and fourth down. It was just epic how well they did. The offense, I said, hey, the key for you guys is just score touchdowns in the red zone. This is top 10 red zone defense. We were there twice. We scored touchdowns twice. Right? It might be a reverse sweep to Janier, and it might be a old school power play, but we got in the end. We got in the end zone. Special teams, I just told them steal a possession. Now, we stole a possession with the fake. Now, I didn't think we were going to get 2 punts blocked, but we stole a possession. So it was all those things, but part of that was tackling. But when I was at Penn State, every Tuesday, our defense tackled the scout team. And so I just said, we might have to tackle. We might have to get ourselves. And then they played as well. And the great message to our guys is they put a little bit more in, and they got a lot more out. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to do that every week, but if you're struggling tackling, we need to tackle more. We obviously need to do more punt protection. We obviously need, so it's just kind of that thought process.
Coach, after the game, James Williams was very emotional about how far he's come athletically and personally. How much have you noticed that, and how much of a ceiling does he have here?
I think, in terms of he can be whatever he wants to be, and I made the point in there, I said it here, he was on the scout team last week. This wasn't this was hey, this is going to be a big James Williams week. This was get Riley Van Poppel and Sua and get the big guys in there. Let's get ready to go. And so he wants to play. So he goes over to the scout team when Terrence sends him over, and he gets good reps. Gets the good tackles and works, and all of a sudden it shows up in the game. I I just know James. I know his heart. I know who he is as a person. He's a really, 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 really wonderful young man. You know, we had the D-line at our house 2 weeks ago, and like, just, you know, my kids love him. My dogs love him. Like, he's just got that kind of a heart, you know, and I think everyone rallies around him. So he made some plays. But what I liked was, you know, I'm not big on all the, like, hey, look at me stuff, right? Like, I'm kind of old school that way. I loved after his one sack. You know, I always like to watch the TV copy. He's pointing at Jamari, thanking him. Because, like, Jamari did an excellent job on, you know, getting up the field so he could come up and under. And so, to me, it's not, you know, it's selfless. And I think Terrence has done an amazing job in that room of building a brotherhood, a camaraderie, where they all root for each other. So I'm proud of James a lot. He's doing well in school. He's doing well socially. He's a really good dude.
Will you be able to recruit on the bye week, or how will you manage? I know you only get the 33 days. I know. Will you be able to use much this week?
Yeah, we won't do much this week. We might go see one guy here, one guy there. We've been sending some guys out along the way. We're going to use the second bye week as the big recruiting week. I think this week, to me, you know, this started in July. You know, we started training camp in July, so it's July into August. You look at most Big Ten teams, they didn't go 6 in a row like we did. Some did, but not many. So I really want the coaches and staff, players to work, and then just take a little time to refresh, come back, take them one, and then we'll play 3 games, and then we'll have a bye week. And then that bye week, you know, we'll go recruit, and we'll use up the rest of our days. But yeah, to your point, the change in the schedules made it a little bit harder. And then, you know, there's no December recruiting now. So really, most of the days I'm going to try to use them for my days, you know. So we'll try to get out next week.
Physicality, just for a second. So, you know, it was before the Purdue game, you did sort of the one-on-one drill before the game, then you did it again against Rutgers. And it strikes me that, you know, last year after the Michigan game is when you guys had sort of a change moment. It feels like the Illinois game was that similar, even though, I mean, it wasn't 45-7, but are there similarities to that Michigan moment, to this Illinois moment, and how you changed as a coach, and maybe button pushing is the wrong word, but like change maybe of an approach or something?
No, I'm a button pusher. There's no doubt. That's my job. There's no doubt. Like, I described it to the players today as like, it's like you know, the whack-a-mole game, right? Like last year it was turnovers, and then you fix turnovers, boom, and all of a sudden penalties show up. Now you're like, penalties. Now it's like, oh, field goal block, boom, and then the punt block. Like, and it's like at some point you know you're trying to, but again, as the years go on, those things get less. The lessons are learned. The lessons I'm talking about or Tony's talking about start being happening amongst the guys. And when people refer to culture, that's really what it is. I mean, I think we're unbelievably physical in spring and in training camp. It's just there's a natural inclination for people as the season goes on. Like, you literally have full-time people. You know, Mitch comes up to me, hey, we should be careful player load, and you naturally want to cut back. And to play great defense, you have to practice great defense. Like, to play great defense, you have to practice great defense. And so, you know, we practiced hard the Illinois week. Don't get me wrong. I just think, you know, again, we're learning how to do things. You know, like Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, and they came out the next week against Purdue, and they looked like they were on a mission. You know, so I remember watching that, and that's kind of what happens to teams. You know, we still have a lot of things to figure out about ourselves. Last year after Michigan, it was like, I will not tolerate quitting. That's all that message was. It was, you can lose. We don't want to lose. But people are not spending their money to come to a game and watch us lay down. That is just not happening. And we certainly didn't quit against Illinois. I just think against Illinois it was, again, kind of that, hey, get to the moment. It's a little tight. We've had 2 7-point games in the fourth quarter the last 2 weeks, right? And now I know Purdue, whatever, but, you know, it's 2 7-point games. I didn't think in either game our guys panicked. I thought they played to the end of the game. So hopefully we're making some progress in that area.
I know we kind of make a big deal of that pregame thing, but what is the thinking with that?
There is no thinking. It's just, it's, you know, so much of this is just passion and energy and, like, you know, excitement, and so it's like, hey, we're gonna come together and we're gonna just celebrate each other. Like, and the guys, our team really revolves around certain guys, right? So, like, when Roman Mangini goes out there, and he went against Hartzog, right? He was a starter. That wasn't like, you know, and those two guys battle at the guard. It just lights your team up a little bit. So, I mean, we might not do it next week. Who knows? Who knows what we'll do? But it's just something that just seemed to make sense, right? Like, you know, I think so much of this thing is like getting out of your head and going from your heart, and it just felt like at Purdue maybe we needed that. You know, just not needed it, but did it. But, you know, the whole, I don't know if I told you the whole onus of it, the whole origination of it came from when I used to work for one of my mentors, George DeLeon. He would talk about over the years playing Nebraska. And when you played Nebraska, he said, and I don't know if this is true, people say I'm a lot full of it, but this is what he told me. He said, like, the O-line would line up, and they'd put, like, the D-line or the linebackers, and they would, like, run into him, and then the O-line would hit them. And, like, as the other team was running out, he said half the time you lost the game. Maybe Phil Snow's, like, you lost the game before you even played them. You know, you just came out and you saw the physicality of Nebraska and the pipeline, and you were like, it's going to be a long day. So we were at Temple at the time. We said, all right, well, we're going to do Oklahoma drill at the 45-yard line. And I still have coaches will say it to me, like, then we got to Baylor, and the kids were like, we're not doing that, coach. We don't want to do that. Let's do pat and go, and we'll get open. And so we stopped doing it, and just, I don't know, I was fired up for the Purdue game. I was like, hey, give me 2 guys. And then it was cool this week. 3 guys came running out. You know, I said, give me an O-lineman. 3 guys came running out. So it's just, I don't know. It's not much to it. Not much to it. Just a way to celebrate being physical.
Michael was that offensive lineman that went out there. Did that please you, and how'd you feel like you played in the limited snaps he had?
I was pleased when they all came out, right? I mean, the Canuck, you know, the hardest thing is when one guy won't leave and then you have to referee, and I was like, oh, just someone please walk away. But no, I was happy for Micah. He wanted to get in there. He played. He was the jumbo tight end. You know, he caved that edge down. You know, Micah played the way he's capable of playing, right? You know, and so Micah can be whatever he wants to be. He's like everyone else, just has to stay focused day by day. And but he really helped us in those crucial. I mean, we went for 4th and 1 on our own 30-yard line, right, or 35-yard line the first drive. We were 3 for 3 on 4th down when you count the fake punt. So that was not a game we were coming here to play it conservatively. And so I think, you know, him and Lindemeyer, Borkacher, those guys running the power play, Liebentritt. So happy for Micah. Hopefully we can build on it this week.
All good.
All right.